Hey everyone, today we're going to be writing systems of linear inequalities. We're going to be doing this through word problems, and we're going to talk about what are some key phrases that will represent those inequality symbols. So just like I said previously, so when you're writing a linear inequality, you always want to read the problem and define the variable. So define the variable means you're going to give that variable meaning. I always like to use X and Y just because X and Y can easily be put into a calculator tool like Desmos or the graphing calculator. Whereas if you use A or B, you're going to have to wind up putting X and Y anyway, so I just go ahead and use those. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to write the inequalities using the define variables. Now, when I say write the inequalities, that means that you're going to have to write the equations, and you're going to have to really pay close attention to the inequality keyword. So given a list over here on the side, so we have less than, fewer than, those all mean the less than but not equal to. So we have more than, greater than, those are kind of given. The ones that I really want to pay attention to are the ones that students struggle with the most. And the ones that they struggle with the most are these two phrases right here, and they use them a lot. If I say is at most or is at least. So if a student sees is at most, they think most, okay, that's greater than. But you really have to think about it in context. So if I say I have at most $5, that means I have up to $5. I have $5 or less. So that means I have up to 5. If I say I have at least $5, that means that I have $5 or more. So I have $5 or more, so that's going to be greater than or equal to. So a lot of students will see the most and the least, and they'll think that most automatically goes with greater and least goes with less, but that is exactly the opposite because of the way that it's worded. So again, if I say that I have at most, then at most means less than or equal to. If I say I have at least, that means greater than or equal to. So keep those in mind because those are going to be big phrases that come up in your problems. All right, so looking at this word problem, it says you are selling pizzas to raise money for a school field trip. Cheese pizza costs $8 and pepperoni pizza costs $9. You need to sell at least 2 of each kind of pizza, and you want to sell at least $180 worth of pizza. Write the inequality that represents the situation. So when I'm looking at this situation, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to define my variables. Okay, so remember I said I like to use X and Y. So if I'm using X, it doesn't really matter which one you choose as long as you continue to let that be the pattern that you go with. So I'm going to say X is the number of cheese pizzas because that one was first. And Y is going to be the number of pepperoni pizza. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read my problem or skim back through my problem and highlight some key things here. So in this, I have the key phrase that cheese pizzas cost $8, pepperoni pizzas cost $9. The other thing I want to look at is it says that they want to sell at least. So at least, remember, at least means the same thing as greater than or equal to. So that's going to be a big deal. And they want to sell 2 kinds of that pizza. So I'm actually going to change some colors here, and I'm going to explain why in a second. You need to sell at least 2 kinds of each pizza, but they also want to sell at least $180 worth. So I have I'm going to have 3 equations in this problem. But the main thing that I want to look at is the fact that they're separated into 2 categories. One is a category of cost. So we have how much cheese costs, how much pepperoni costs, and then we have their total worth. Then we have 2 equations that are going to represent how many of each pizza they need to sell. So I'm going to start with the cost equation. So for my cost equation, it says that cheese pizza costs $8. So $8 times X, because X was cheese, plus pepperoni pizza costs $9, so that's 9y. And the key phrase was at least $180. So at least means greater than or equal to 180. That was my cost equation. That was my money equation. Now, the next thing that it talked about back in the middle, it said you need to sell at least 2 of each kind. So we need to sell 2 of cheese and we need to sell at least 2 of pepperoni. So again, at least means greater than or equal to, and I need to sell 2 of them. Well, I need to sell at least 2 of cheese, so cheese is X, so I need to sell at least 2 cheese pizzas, so X is greater than or equal to 2. And I need to sell at least 2 pepperoni pizzas, so Y is greater than or equal to 2. And just like that, I have a system of inequalities that represent the situation. So again, I have a cost equation. So right here, I have my cost equation. And then I have a how many of each kind equation. Okay? So just make sure you don't mix up your information there. All right, so the next problem that we're going to look at is a problem that was actually on the released EOC. And it says Sally works at a store. X represents Sally's monthly paycheck and Y represents her monthly savings. Says she wants to save at least $20 more than half of her paycheck or half her paycheck each month. And then it says she can save at most $80 more than 2/3 of her paycheck each month. Her paycheck is at least 1,200, but no more than 1,850. All right, so we got a lot of information here. First things first, though, they already tell us what my 2 key variables is. We know X is the paycheck, and we know that Y is her savings. So X is paycheck, Y is savings. Now, in the next problem, or in the next bullet, it says Sally will save at least. So at least is going to be greater than or equal to $20 more than. So more than means we need to add. And then half of her paycheck. So she wants to save. Savings was Y, so Y is greater than or equal to half of her paycheck, so 1/2 of X, and then $20 more than that. So Y is greater than 1/2 X plus 20. So if I look at my answer choices, I can see that I can get rid of A. B still has that inequality, so that works. C, the half equation is less than, so we're going to get rid of that one. And then D actually has the X instead of the Y. So the correct answer is already B, but we're going to go through and look at the other pieces and talk about why. So the next one says she can save at most. So at most means less than or equal to $80 more than 2/3 of her paycheck. So savings, again, savings is Y. And she can save at most $80 more than 2/3, so 2/3 of her paycheck, X, plus $80 more than that. Again, that represents the equation that we have for B. Now, here's the next part. It says that her paycheck, so we're talking about paycheck here, we're talking about the X value, is at least $1,200, but no more than 1,850. So at least means greater than or equal to. So we know the paycheck X is greater than or equal to 1,200. And then we know that the paycheck can be no more than, so X is going to be less than or equal to $1,850. All right, so always pay attention to your keywords, especially the at least and at most and no more than or no less than. Those are used quite a bit and they seem to be the most common mistakes that students make. And just a key thing to always remember is just like in this problem, inequality is not limited to 2, especially when you're talking about systems. You can have 2 or more. I mean, it just depends on what the problem is giving you and what it is stating about each example.